In this video, we're going to be replacing the front bumper on this 2005 Honda Element. With a 19mm socket, we're going to take off our wheel. Across the bottom side here, we have some push pins. You're probably going to have more push pins than we do. Our vehicle's missing a couple here or there, so wherever there are push pins, go ahead and remove them. So that's all our push pins up here. There should be a few more back here on this plastic piece. We have one more right here. Now this plastic splash shield here runs up inside the fender liner. So you're going to have two on each side. So if you follow this black plastic piece all the way up into your fender well, you'll see you have two push clips here. We're going to go ahead and remove those. All right, you're going to want to do the same thing on the other side. So back up top now, we have this top piece here covering our radiator, and it's attached to our front bumper. So we'll go ahead and remove these push pins first, and then we'll move out to the push pins over the headlights. Now I'm using a pick tool here for most of these. Some of them are going to be a little bit more difficult, so we'll move over to a panel tool. So now this top piece is going to lift right up. Now back up top, we have all of our push clips holding the top of our bumper down. So we'll go ahead and take those out. So sometimes these get old and brittle over time. This one just happened to fall apart. Now the top of your bumper should be pretty free. Just go ahead and give it a little wiggle, let you know if you're missing any clips. Everything here looks pretty good. Just gonna give it a good little tug out. Make sure everything's ready to come free. Now from here, we're gonna go to either the driver or the passenger side and work our bumper off the vehicle. If you're doing this by yourself, I'm gonna grab the bumper down in the fender area and by the top here, where you just removed your clips, and we're gonna pull out. Now inside our fender liner, you'll see you have one Phillips or 8mm bolt. We're going to use the 8mm on the socket. We're going to take this one out here, and it's going to be the same on both driver and passenger side. All right, so now that we have our 8mm bolt out here, what we're going to do is pull our fender out and away. You can still see now that our bumper has a little tab that's stuck on that shoulder. We're going to pull our bumper out and off of that tab. So now we're up front, our bumper's released from that little shoulder tab here. We're gonna grab our bumper from the fender and the top and just pull away from the vehicle. We'll do that on both driver and passenger side. We've already done the driver's side. I have a tool here holding the bumper on. This side's released. Now what we can do is grab our bumper, just take it right off the vehicle. So our front bumper, to remove this lower piece here, we're going to need to remove our license plate bracket. So we're going to do that with a Phillips screwdriver. Right inside here, you'll see 2 Phillips screws. And now our bracket on the top here has got a little hook on the back of it. So we're going to lift this up and push it inward. We can lift it up and out. And there's your license plate bracket. Our lower grille here, or our lower trim piece, is going to be held in by these gray clips. They're the same color as your lower trim piece. So what we're going to do is use a panel tool and push in these clips and push down the trim piece. We're going to do that all the way across. Now with one hand, I'm keeping pressure separating the two. That way they don't fall back into place. Okay, once you get them all to drop through, you can go ahead and take off your lower trim piece. And here are the clips that we were just working on. So on our top grill here, you'll notice that we have our grill and 3 clips. And we also have what look to be 2 Phillips screws on each side. We're going to start by removing these push clips here. We're going to use a pick tool and a panel tool. So we're just going to see if we can get under here with a pick. There we go. All right, so there are 3 clips. We're going to move to the side, remove our 2 Phillips. And the other side, do the same thing. And from here, we should be able to separate. Now from here, we have our Phillips screws removed and our clips removed. You can see that the grill is still held in place. We have 2 options. One is to flip it over and work on it from the front, and the other is to keep it just like this, work on it from the back. So we're going to work on it from the back here. We'll put one hand on it for pressure, pushing down. We're going to grab the bumper with our other hand and pull up. I'm just going to separate the 2. And there's your grill. What we were working on separating was this lip or this edge right here sits inside this edge on the other side. Now we're going to take our lower trim. We're going to align our tabs on the back with the tabs on our bumper. And what I like to do is just grab this grill on the bottom side and just squeeze everything together. We'll flip it over and make sure all those clips have seated properly. So here, we're just going to make sure that our clips are fully seated. We can see that this one is fully seated, this one is not. So they're going to all want to be looking like that. Just going to squeeze them together. And sometimes it's a little help with a pry tool to pop that clip out. Just go down the line. We have one more down the end. Just a little squeeze. And that's it. So our first step is going to take our grill, sit it upside down to match our bumper. We're going to take it underneath the bumper. We're going to put it into position where our clip tabs are basically lined up together. Then we're going to push upwards. What we're going to want to do on the underside is push the edge of the grill here and this little lip into this area on the front of the bumper. Okay, so we're going to slide this into position and we're going to push upwards all the way across. And once we are not getting any more movement upwards, we are going to put our push clips back into place. Okay, before we go any further, we're going to sit it up so we're looking at the front of the bumper, and we're going to make sure that lip is pressed in all the way, and then we'll go ahead and put in our 4 Phillips screws. So now that we're up, what we can do is take our grill and our bumper and just kind of squeeze them together. What we're looking for is this line to be nice and flush all the way around the front and the sides. Right now it looks like we're pressed in, nice and tight into the bumper. So while holding pressure, holding these two together, we'll rotate it back down. So now with pressure being held on our grill and our bumper, holding them together, we're going to put in 2 Phillips screws, one on each side, so that way we can let go of the bumper. All right. No need to over tighten those. You're going from plastic to plastic. You don't want to strip them out. Again, keeping pressure on the bumper to hold it together. Now that we have those in, we can let go. Put in our final 2 screws. Now we want to flip it over, make sure nothing shifted and that line is still nice and flush on the outside or on the front. If everything looks good, you're ready to put it back on to the vehicle. Now we can take our bumper to the vehicle. And what we're going to do is line up the top section here on our top brace. Kind of get our clip holes lined up. We're not going to get it perfect, but we're at least going to be able to sit it down and rest it on the top here. What we're going to do is put one plastic clip in the top here just to hold it in position for us. Now we have a pivot point to rotate and it'll hold it up top. Okay, so then we're going to leave this tab here for when we get it up in the air and we can look in and on that here. We also have a small problem where this screw is stuck in place. So we're going to move over to the passenger side and finish that side up. So on the passenger side, you can see we have to line up the fender. This tab here is going to go underneath the fender. These pieces are going to go underneath here. Again, we have a little alignment tab here, which is going to be somewhere in this area. So we're going to pull it forward. We're going to bend this up and under. We're going to push this into place. Now, what we can do is push in and up. Gently, we'll find that spot right there. push straight back. You're going to want to make sure that the bumper tab is underneath here. So this will move out a little bit. Underneath here and on the tab where you're going to put your screw back in place. Once the two are aligned, go ahead and close that up. And we can put our fender liner back in place when we start to work underneath it. We can put our screw back in. So we're going to start over on the passenger side. We're just going to start to reinstall our retaining clips here. Okay, you're going to get to a point like here where now you're going to need to reinstall your top trim piece. It's going to slide under the handle and down into place. And now we can continue along. So now in the fender well area, you have your liner, which from here we can tuck inside the bumper. And up top here, this is where we're going to put our screw back in. Now your liner is typically held in by a couple of clips, but we removed this piece here, the bottom splash shield, so this liner may or may not stay where we put it for right now, but when you are ready, that's right about where it's going to go. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So now we have our lower engine splash shield and our two side pieces that go into the fender liners, the fender wells. What we're going to do is put this up into position. We had a few more of these here, but they ended up breaking off. So we're just going to line up what we have left. Okay, so what we're doing is just lining up this area here first. So that one should hold most of it in place. Now what we're going to do is just work around the perimeter and reinstall our plastic clips. So up here we have one. And on the opposite side we'll have another. Okay, so we're just going to continue with our clips. Now, our vehicle didn't have all of the clips in place. So at this point, you're going to want to put all of your clips back in place, or if you're missing any, you're going to want to replace them. So our fender well pieces here, we're just going to sit them up into the fender well. And you want to make sure while you're doing this that they're on the other side of the hook here. And make sure on the opposite side of that hook. The other hook on the other side is actually bent way up. So this one is a little bit easier to do and a little bit easier to see. And now we'll get into the fender well, start putting in those clips. So inside the fender well, this is going to be the same for driver and passenger. We're going to take this splash shield area here, we're going to put it up. We're going to put our clips in place. So up in the passenger fender well, we'll go ahead and put our clips on our lower splash shield piece. Normally you would have more of these across the bottom. Ours broke off. This plastic gets pretty fragile. So to hold our splash shield up, we're still going to put some clips in there. Our car also didn't come with all of the clips, so we're going to put them back in where we see fit. All right, we have 2 clips left. So if you look at this, you kind of see what moves around the most. We want to lock those areas down with whatever we have left for clips. So we're going to go ahead and put ours in here. And the same thing over here. Now again, you're going to have many more clips. Go ahead and install them. Make sure you filled in all those spaces. We're going to put our license plate bracket on now. You may or may not have one. You may or may not have a bracket. If you have one that looks like this, it's going to go on this way. What you're going to do is take these hooks, slide it up into your lower grill, push down, and pull forward. And what you're going to do is either find your pre-drilled holes, or with some Phillips screws, go ahead and drill your holes. Now ours are pre-drilled, so we're just tightening these up. License plate brackets on. And so now we can install our wheel. All right, now we can do the other ones. Come in here with our 19 millimeter. Just snug these up. All right, now to torque these down, we're going to have to put the vehicle on the ground so the wheel doesn't spin. Now that our vehicle's on the ground, we're going to torque our lug nuts down to 80 foot-pounds. We're going to do it in a crisscross pattern. And then sometimes, if you really feel the need to, you can run around a second time just to make sure. And that's it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.